Greetings and blessings for Advent. I want to thank Father Andy for his initiative in asking several of us to make these reflections for the parish for Advent and for the privilege of sharing this little reflection with you. My reflection is about the Jesse tree and how it was an important part of our family Advent preparations and celebrations. In some ways it still is. Advent, of course, is a time for preparation to celebrate the birth of Christ and to prepare, of course, for his second coming into our own lives in sometimes in new and unexpected ways. Advent is also a time of waiting, of watching and learning. When our children were young, and they are all now over 40, one of our favorite practices, in addition to the Advent calendar and the wreath, was the Jesse tree. And just what is the Jesse tree? Well, let me show you. The tree is a wonderful way to teach children and ourselves about the Old Testament and how events and people prefigured and showed the way to Christ. On the first day of December, the very first reading and the first day of Advent, it was from Isaiah. And here is what it said. A shoot will spring forth from the stump of Jesse and a branch out of his roots. And this is obviously the beginning then of the long story of Jesus himself. Who is Jesse? Jesse is the father of David, who was anointed king, the king of all Israel. He kills Goliath, of course, and he became the ancestor of Jesus. Jesus, who is often called in scripture the son of David. So here's what the Jesse tree looks like. This one, very similar to the ones that we had for our children when they were growing up. And it's a number of different symbols. Some of those you may recognize fairly easily. Here's the devil, of course, and the serpent and the Adam. Here's creation, the beginning of creation itself. The rainbow after Noah. Here's Jacob's ladder. Let's see, anything else? I forgot what some of these are. I think this is John the Baptist. Here is the king. And of course, Jesus himself. And some of these others you can figure out. Actually, what's interesting is that there are 29 traditional symbols in the Jesse tree. And this is a list that I found in a Catholic website. And these are the ones that different things that you'll find. And I'll just leave this here, or you can look at them later on and figure them all out. It's really nice. But we actually had a homemade tree that was made with felt pockets for each of the symbols. And we had a little book with symbols that the children would cut out, color, and then take turns placing them on the tree, just like they would a regular Advent tree, or Advent calendar, I'm sorry. And we kept this up in our living room throughout Advent, Christmas, and all the way until Epiphany, at least. And the book that we had, actually, they're books that are very available anywhere online for you. They're some of them inexpensive and they're for kids to play with. The book we have, actually, I was on the phone today. My daughter called us from France, where she's been living there for several years with her Army husband. And she told me that her kids were still using this, and they're 13 and 17, going on 18. So I'm glad to see it's still being used there. The Jesse tree also has obviously a revered place in the church and in church history. It can be found in stained glass windows and in images in many churches and cathedrals. This is a traditional Jesse tree, and instead of symbols, what you see on it are images of the kings of Israel and of several other prophets. Probably the most magnificent of these is the one that's in Chartres Cathedral in France. My wife and I have had the opportunity and the privilege of visiting Chartres at least a couple of times. Magnificent cathedral, and probably one of the best maintained in all of Europe. But here it is, you can see how ornate it was. At the bottom, here's Jesse himself lying down, and out of this tree then comes, David and all the others that we mentioned. But this one shows actually are David and Solomon and other kings of Israel, as well as prophets like Isaiah Ezekiel, Moses, and Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist. So Advent then is a time to prepare, not only to ponder and meditate on Christ, whose birthday we celebrate, but also on all that led to his coming. It's also time for each of us to ponder and prepare, to learn, and in doing so, to get ready for his coming again into our lives, perhaps in a new and deeper way. Reflecting on our own past and all that has influenced and led us to become who we are will help us to prepare to meet Christ at his coming to us. Thank you all, and God bless. I've really enjoyed this opportunity now to talk with you all, and blessing for a great Advent and a very, very Merry Christmas. God bless you again.